Cognitive dissonance is going to be the death of America. And for those who don't know what cognitive dissonance is, I'm going to provide you a definition. Cognitive dissonance is the mental discomfort that results from holding two conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes. People tend to seek consistency in their attitudes and perceptions, so this conflict causes unpleasant feelings of unease or discomfort. The best example I can give of this is through the Christian religion, because that's just something that I'm familiar with. That's how I grew up. But Christians believe that God and heaven are real. And when challenged on that belief system, it can be very uncomfortable, especially if it's something that you've been raised in. I've had experiences like that myself, where there has been contradictory information pertaining to the Bible. And what happens is your brain automatically wants to reject that information because it directly contradicts a belief system that you've held for a very long time. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that experience. And what ends up happening is it gives you it almost gives you an adrenaline dump. It's in a very emotionally charged feeling of discomfort. And depending on how intense the cognitive dissonance is, it can make people legitimately ill or feeling sick to their stomach. And the reason I'm talking about cognitive dissonance is because of the Epstein files. And before anybody jumps down my throat, okay, I'm not Republican, I'm not Democratic, I'm registered independent. I don't prescribe to either party because frankly both piss me off for different reasons. But I think it's important to note that right now we are witnessing the most extensive amount of cognitive dissonance that I have ever seen. Because we have people in MAGA who are being directly confronted with information that Trump is in the Epstein files, let alone the fact that he was convicted civilly for 34 felonies and things like that, who talk about how they have Christian belief systems, they're against crime, they're against violent criminals, they're against all sorts of things, right? And we have information that is directly contradicting that deep-held belief system, which is going to create feelings of discomfort because these are people who have been ranting and raving about Trump for years, about how good of a guy he is, how great he's been for the country, things like that. And now they're being forced to recognize information that does not uphold that belief system and that perception that they have of him. And instead of saying, hey, I wonder why that makes me uncomfortable, they're doubling down. And this happens a lot with people who have cognitive dissonance. I mean, everybody's experienced it. Everybody's had this feeling where, oh, this moral belief system that I have is being challenged. We as people are designed to have those uncomfortable feelings because they're supposed to make us think. We're supposed to say, hey, I wonder why that upsets me. I wonder why that makes me uncomfortable. That's natural, okay? Doubling down and sticking your head in the sand about things, it's not going to help you grow as a person, and in fact, it's going to make you look like an idiot in the long run, okay? You don't have to change your entire viewpoint and your entire belief system, okay? You can be Christian and have things contradict your belief system, but you have to recognize those contradictions because they exist. It's real. I mean, every religion is contradictory, etc. But right now, we have millions of people who, rather than saying, hey, Trump's behavior and the fact that he's mentioned in the Epstein files contradicts my moral standing and my moral belief system, is incredible to me. And it legitimately is the collective cognitive dissonance of millions of people. And I don't think I've ever seen something on this grand of a scale before. And I think that if we allow this to keep happening, because it might not end with Trump, but if we keep allowing this to happen, we're going to get to a point where we as a society cannot have those hard confrontations within ourselves to go, hey, why does that make me uncomfortable? Because there's a reason that it makes you uncomfortable. Something is challenging a belief system that you have held very deeply and in such a high regard for a very long time. That should be a red flag. It shouldn't be something that you just ignore. And yeah, it's hard. It feels like shit. I've been there. But again, we're all humans. That's a natural response. Your body is reacting for a reason. And it just concerns me that if we continue to have millions of people purposely ignore their uncomfortable feelings, that we aren't going to grow as a society. And in fact, we're probably going to freaking blow up our country.